And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This being a data and analytics conference, what I'm going to do in the next 20 minutes plus is to share my perspectives on how do you drive, how do you elevate, how do you enhance your data and analytics journey. There are a few mantras or building blocks which many of your organizations may be quite matured in adopting those, but I will talk about it at a very, very high level. So this is the Oscar Award. And if there was an award for the most impactful technology in 2023, and the nominees are cloud technology, going strong, right, year after year. Automation technology with so much of focus on automation using digital, AR and VR, and generative AI. And the winner would be obvious, right? And the winner is generative AI. And wow, what a year it has been, 2023, ever since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022. There's a lot of action that has happened. There's so many products and solutions that have been launched. Organizations are looking at how do they mine value from generative AI. There's a lot of interest which has been kicked up. There's a lot of drama and action also demonstrated by the big tech companies also. So there's a lot happening, but I honestly feel, I truly feel that we seem to be scratching the surface at this point in time in understanding the overall potential of this new animal or the new kid, the block. And this was something last week, our Prime Minister, right? He was addressing the top cops of the police. And he said, shun danda, employ data for modern policing. Oh my God, our Prime Minister. And he keeps saying this repeatedly, right? So when organizations are driving a data-driven organization and so on, our Prime Minister, our own Prime Minister is driving a data-driven India, in my opinion. And he's been kind of very frequent. And in the last 9-10 years, we have seen how technology is being used by the government and how government has been very aggressively driving technology. And this has also been echoed by the visionaries, by world leaders, by business leaders, by business tycoons, to the extent where Mukesh Ambani, a couple of years ago, in one of those AI summits in Mumbai, he went on to say that in the past, nations had competed on physical capital, financial capital, and human capital. But in the future, it's going to be the data capital. The strength and the progress of a country will be measured by its GDP. And we are talking of a $7 trillion GDP growth in the next few years. It is just not gross domestic product, but the prosperity of the country will be measured by GDP, which is the gross data product. And data has been playing, and organizations today where their systems are playing a very major role, data is playing a major role, and I'm sure, irrespective of whichever industry it is, whether it's a banking industry, whether it's a manufacturing industry, an outage of even 5 minutes or 10 minutes would create chaos in the organization. So data in the value chain, I'm comparing that to the blood in the human body. And we all know every second, blood is purified, oxygen is taken in, blood is purified, and this purified blood is circulated to every organ in the body, which includes the brain. If the brain is starved of blood, oxygenated blood, it would die within a few minutes. So similarly, even data has been nourishing the businesses. So I'm calling it as oxygenated data. So it's important. That is, good quality data is very important. So oxygenated data keeps your business healthy. And impure data or poor quality data is like a clot. And you know what clot happens? It can lead to a heart attack. That is your business coming to a grinding halt, or it could lead to a stroke. That's the kind of role which data seems to be playing in today's world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our universe. And you know how many galaxies are there in our universe? In our observable universe. There is an estimated 200 billion galaxies in our observable universe. And they say every galaxy has got about 200 billion plus stars, or even 1 trillion stars. And we seem to be living in one small galaxy, which is called the Milky Way, which is itself 1 lakh light years end to end. So you can imagine the possibility of finding life like on Earth is kind of limitless. Welcome to this data universe, which also seems to be growing as big as our universe today. So the possibility of mining value today from data, and different types of data, you can mine value from any type of data, structured, unstructured, whatever. The possibility of mining value is infinite today. So if you have to mine value from the data, I quickly wanted to share with you, these I call it as 10 mantras, or the building blocks, to ensure your data and analytics success, right? And as I said, disclaimer here is many of you all must be quite deep into it, quite fairly matured in your organization. But let's have a look at it. The first one, these are the 10 mantras. The first mantra, expand organization's data landscape. Now that technology leaders have realized that you can mine data from various types of data, structured data, unstructured data. When it comes to unstructured data, it could be telematics data, it could be data from your industry, from your missions, from audio feeds, from video feeds, and so on. And they say 80% of the data which is being captured in organizations today is actually unstructured data. And apart from that, now with the power of generative AI, with large language models, I think it's becoming very, very critical for technology leaders to be sourcing external data into your internal systems for mining those very, very deep insights. And these external sources, depending on the industry, could be the data from the government, which sits on a very, very rich repository of data. It could be social media, it could be market research, maybe Frost & Sullivan, or it could be weather data, it could be traffic data, whatnot. So it's becoming important that you're able to extract data and get it into your internal system to mine more value. So expanding your terrain of your organization data is becoming very, very critical today. So to the extent where I'm saying, this is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was known for conquering land. He had a penchant, he had a passion, he had a lot of energy and hunger for conquering new land. Similarly, technology leaders should demonstrate that ability of conquering new data landscape going forward. That's a first kind of a mantra. The second is, this is Gordon Ramsay. And you must be aware, Gordon Ramsay is a celebrity chef. And if Gordon Ramsay were to be provided sub-quality, poor quality inputs, maybe groceries or vegetables, even Gordon Ramsay's cooking magic will not work. So you could have the best of data scientists and data engineers and data analysts in your organization. But if your quality of data is poor, then it will not yield the desired result. So when you talk of data quality, you're talking of the 7 dimensions of data quality. I'm not getting into the details, completeness of the data, validity of the data, uniqueness of the data, accuracy of the data, and so on. So I would recommend technology leaders to do a kind of a data audit, do a data classification, because not all the data in your organization needs to be treated the same way. This is something like a VIP security, right? You have Z plus security, Z plus plus security, whatever it is, depending on how critical that crown jewel is for you. Classify your data, right? And then focus on improving the quality of data. And again, research shows that 80% of the business value is got from only 20% of your data. So good quality, and as organizations are moving more and more towards real-time enterprise, right? On this earth, we talk of real-time enterprise, but the moment you look up to the sky, everything is history. Even the sun's light which comes, it takes about 8.5 minutes for the sun's light to reach the earth. And of course, all those stars, the nearest galaxies, Andromeda is about 2.5 million light years away. So everything what we see is history. But on this earth, when we talk of real-time enterprise real-time information. It could be sales information, it could be production information, it could be inventory information, it could be profitability, it could be working capital information. And organizations are more and more depending on this real-time information for real-time decisions to be taken. It makes it all the more important that you focus on your data quality. So I'm saying here, because I come from the manufacturing industry all along, the automotive industry. If a manufacturing organization can afford to have a large team of engineers, right, to ensure the incoming quality of the material which they receive, should it not have an organization, should it not have a dedicated team for managing the incoming data quality? Food for thought. The third mantra, build data literacy. So we have spoken about, the first mantra was all about volume of data, quantity. Then we spoke of quality, right? So I've ensured I've focused on data quality. The third is you could have a lot of data, you've built a lot of insights, and the quality is also good. The quality of the raw material is good, that is data. You have built some very good quality analytics. It could be dashboards, it could be reports, whatever it is, right? But if you do not have the competence and the skills in the organization to understand that data and use that data meaningfully, then again, it becomes a wasteful kind of an effort. So here we are talking of the third mantra is to build data literacy in the organization. And data literacy, going by the Gartner definition. Gartner says it is the ability of the organization and the people in the organization to read, write, and then communicate data in context. And some projection, by 2025, about 90% of the organizations will initiate some kind of a competency or a skill development in the field of data literacy. Because with good quality data, good quality analytics, you need people to kind of use that meaningfully. And that's what I'm saying. You have to focus, technology leaders have to focus on building this competence in the organization, which I truly believe is very critical, which is the art of asking questions. Your DnA program will be successful if more and more people ask questions looking at data. So are you developing that art of asking questions in the meaningful questions, relevant questions, of course, in the organization, in the meetings? And the second is the ability of the organization to sniff the intelligence from the data. And nature is so beautifully architected that it gives you signals, right? Even if before getting a heart attack also, the body also gives you good signals, right? You could get some pain, uneasiness or whatever. But many times we recognize those signals, but we ignore taking action. Sometimes we may not know at all. So similarly, every data sends out signals. And this example here is, they say, if you keep a bowl of chicken biryani, and chicken biryani was there for lunch also, right? If you keep it in front of a human being, we get that blended smell of the chicken biryani. The basmati rice, the garam masala, the onions and the garlics, and all that combined kind of a smell we get. But the same chicken biryani, if it is kept in front of a bowl of chicken biryani, is kept in front of a dog, it is able to smell. And they say that dog has got several times more smelling power than the humans. It can smell the individual ingredients out. It can smell the beans out, the garlic out, the garam masala out, the basmati rice, all individually it can smell that. So technology leaders have to focus on developing this kind of a dog-like kind of competence so that you're able to sniff the intelligence from the data. That's the third mantra. The fourth one, establish digital and DnA leadership. No DnA program will be a success unless you have the support of the leadership team, which is your CEOs, your N-1 and your N-2. So success of DnA depends on the sponsorship and the patronage of these leaders. So it's very important that you're able to bring in that level of awareness where they are able to appreciate the potential of data and analytics and then sponsor and then patronize those initiatives or projects related to DnA. And I'm imagining that going forward with generative AI, the process of decision making and the quality of decision making will significantly change, will significantly improve. To the extent where I'm imagining a board meeting where you have the board members there, and you're going to have even a prompt engineer who will be a permanent invitee. Like a CFO is always a permanent invitee in all the board meetings. A prompt engineer will be a permanent invitee for the board meetings, and he'll be sitting there in the board meeting. And the board members, directors, will all be asking various questions where, related to insights. Why don't you compare our performance with the competitor performance, blah, 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 blah. The prompt engineer is able to, kind of design the right prompt and then get all the outputs from the LLMs and from the generative AI system. That's going to be the future, I guess. So I truly believe that the quality of decision making will also significantly improve because of these new technologies. Drive data monetization in infonomics, and I would say monetization, and we tech guys are known for talking a lot of jargons. We talk of monetization, we talk of innovation, differentiation, and transformation. And this word called data monetization, data here means it could be data, raw data, it could be insight, it could be software solutions, applications, products, data products, whatever, all put together. It becomes important for technology leaders to focus on monetization. And mostly it is misunderstood. People think of monetization as direct monetization where you generate revenues. It's not necessarily so. I think the first thing is most of the organizations today are focused on indirect monetization. That is, you build competence, capability in the organization for you to measure the benefits out of the technology deployment, and especially in this case, your data and analytics. The second is, of course, your direct monetization, where you're able to generate revenues for the organization. And from my earlier employment, I was the group chief digital officer of Ashok Leyland. So we were doing a lot of stuff where we were monetizing data. We were supplying data to Hyundai. Our trucks were carrying the Hyundai cars to various parts of India. And Hyundai was very particular about tracking the location of that particular truck, carrying their cars. So we were supplying data, a little bit of massaged data to some of the service providers of Hyundai. And we were charging them for that. That's a classic per vehicle, per month, whatever, so many rupees. That's a classic example, a small example of revenue. So micro services, micro solutions will give you micro revenues, all put together will add up to your total revenue and profitability. And infonomics, if organizations recognize that data is an asset, a strategic asset for you in your organization, I think it's high time you start inventorizing your data, meaning to say there is a lot of science in measuring the value of data. Today, your value of data as an asset is not getting into your financial books. It's not there. One day, whether it's US GAAP or India GAAP, it's only a matter of time probably when data will be recognized as an asset, and you will find it on the asset side of your asset and liability statement. Sixth one, build a team of DnA evangelists. And I'm sure it will resonate with many of you all here. One of the major problems we have today is that we are not able to define the right use cases, DnA use cases of high impact, which delivers high impact to the organization, or maximum benefit to the organization. And you would generally find the techies to be problem solvers, right? I think we need to move from that. We need to be not only problem solvers, but we need to be problem finders to identify the right use cases. So instead of DnA evangelists, I say, simply put it, you need to focus on building the use case specialist in your organization to identify and build some very, very high impact use cases, solutions, DnA solutions. Implement, of course, you've done all this, you have recognized data as an asset, but if you don't treat it as an asset, you need to have a framework which kind of defines the way data is managed on an end-to-end basis from the time it is captured, collected, processed, to stored, to distributed, to shared, to archived, to deleted also, right? An entire kind of a framework, a data governance framework for you to manage. And I say, this is very similar to your Constitution of India, Constitution of a country, which kind of defines the way citizens have to live their lives in, and it defines the duties and responsibilities, right? Similarly, a data governance framework comes out with very clear responsibilities, duties in managing the data in its entire life cycle. Eighth one, deploy infrastructure and tools. You could build the best of DnA solutions, but if you do not have a very, very robust infrastructure, hardware to support that, whether you call it as a data lake or a data fabric or whatever it is, right, you will not be in a position to derive the maximum benefit. So this is, so I'm saying this is, they say in Indian Air Force, from the time they get an information that there is an intruder aircraft in our Indian airspace, they scramble off a jet fighter from any of those air bases in India. Plenty all over India we have Air Force bases. Within 5 minutes, they are able to scramble off a jet fighter, and it will go and then intercept that intruder aircraft, and then, do whatever. You can imagine if 5 minutes is the response time, and 5 minutes is the SLA for this. You can imagine the kind of people, processes, policies, procedures, SOPs, technology, infrastructure that has to be in place to support this kind of an SLA, right? So I'm saying here, just a food for thought. How do you ensure your data is in a combat-ready mode? So businesses are asking for solutions to be developed at breakneck speed. You can't say at that point in time that my data is in silos, it is residing in my CRM systems, my ERP, my SCM system, whatever, and it's going to take a while. No. You will have to build these applications at a breakneck speed, on demand. For that, you need to be organizing your data in a combat-ready mode. Strengthening your data security, the 9th mantra, of course, right? With so much of cyber security threats, and what do you do to ensure, investing on more and more of tools for you to strengthen not only your data protection, but also your data privacy, in the light of the DPDP law, which has been passed in India. And I'm saying that 12 months, you're going to see a lot of action around data privacy, to the extent where I'm saying organizations, apart from having a chief information security officer, will kind of go in for a chief data privacy officer also, and you will see that happening in the next 12 months is my prediction. The last mantra is, with all this, you need to be developing the data storytelling capability. What you see on the screen, slide, these are frogs. Once upon a time, there was a community of frogs. They lived life to their fullest, with a lot of energy and zest for life. They wanted to spice up their life, and they said we should have a competition. Right, the next day morning, they all gathered at the foothills of an ancient fort. And they said, we are going to have a running race, which is not a running race, it's actually a climbing race. And the prize is for the frog which reaches the top of the fort first. And the whistle went off. Somebody blew the whistle, and all the frogs very enthusiastically started climbing this wall of that fort. And you had a lot of these villagers who were there living nearby. They all gathered at the foothills of that fort, and they started encouraging these frogs. Come on, climb, climb, climb. Halfway down the line, they found that the frogs were finding it difficult to climb because it was raining. And because of the rain, it was very, very slippery also, the face of the wall. And the villagers started signaling and shouting to the frogs, saying, hey, come down, come down. Some of the frogs heeded to the advice. They started coming down, climbing down. The other frogs continued. Then it reached a stage where it became very dangerous. So very vociferously, the villagers shouted, hey, get down, climb down, otherwise you're going to fall and be killed. All the frogs started climbing down. There was this one frog which continued climbing, which did not even look back. And it reached the top of the fort. And you had a huge vulture which was standing there. And the vulture looked upon this small frog there. He said, hey, how did you climb? All your fellow friends, they all went back. You had the courage to keep climbing, and then you reached the top. And the frog, this frog, poor frog, it said, huh? Right? So, gentlemen, I'm sure whatever I spoke now, you can reproduce it 100%, because I narrated a story. When you narrate a story, right, they say this, your antennas in your brain all light up, right? and every part of your brain kind of is very, very active. It captures a lot of data. So the possibility of you making an impression with your data, and when you present your data in the form of a story, right, in the form of a story, will have a far kind of a greater impact if you're able to tell that in a very, very powerful story, if you're able to put that together. Right. So I'm playing this video to show the power of narration. You could have the best of data, but you need to be communicating data. You need to be narrating a story. What is the power of narration? Just a quick, that's a short video of the power of narration. Just a small change in the way you say things can make a huge difference, right? When he said that I'm blind, I can't see, he evoked sympathy. When he said, the message was changed to saying it's a beautiful day, unfortunately, you can see, I can't see, you have evoked empathy. So data storytelling is all about your data, your visualization, and that's a science by itself in terms of what kind of graphs have to be used or so, and a very powerful narration, which was just demonstrated, and some very, very good context setting, and contrast in terms of comparisons, and especially we Indians, we like a lot of comparisons, right? So compare, benchmark, use best practices, right? Put all that together to weave a wonderful story, and data story becomes very, very important for your DnA success. So some statistics, 2025, Gartner says this is going to be very, very important for technology leaders to pick up those competencies and build those skills in the organization. So a recap of all those 10 mantras, which I just, is the heartbeat, and just like a skilled conductor shapes the symphony, the quality of our data orchestrates the harmony or chaos in the AI outcomes in a world which is going to be ruled, dominated by AI going forward. So your day 0 task, that is tomorrow, today is the 17th, 18th, if you have not already started, I'm assuming a lot of organizations would be somewhere down the line in terms of your maturity. I'm saying launch a data care program. We talk of patient care, we talk of car care, vehicle care. I'm saying a data care program to nurture, protect, and maximize the value of your data assets in your organization. Thank you very much.